Have you ever had one of those bosses who just seem to have it all handed to them? I'm talking about the kind who got the job not because of their skills, but because of who they knew. Well, I had one of those, and let me tell you, it was a wild ride that ended in a spectacular crash. For her, not for me. My story starts at a massive tech company, a real giant in the industry. I was a senior project manager, working my way up the ladder for years. I loved my job, I was good at it, and I was leading a team on the verge of launching a revolutionary new software. This project was my baby, the culmination of countless late nights and way too much coffee. We were this close to changing the game. Then she arrived. Let's call her Clara. Clara was introduced as our new department head. We quickly learned she was the niece of a very powerful board member. From day one, it was clear she was out of her depth. She'd walk into meetings, armed with a fancy business degree but zero practical experience, and start questioning decisions that had been meticulously planned for months. She'd use all the right buzzwords, synergy, disruption, paradigm shift, but couldn't answer a basic technical question to save her life. My team and I tried to be patient. We'd walk her through the project details, explaining the why behind every single choice. But it was like talking to a brick wall. She wasn't interested in learning. She was interested in making her mark. Her idea of making a mark was to change things just for the sake of changing them. She'd suggest features that were technically impossible within our time frame, or demand we pivot to a strategy that made absolutely no sense for our target market. The tension started building. My team was getting frustrated. Morale, which had been sky high, was now plummeting. I found myself spending more time managing Clara's ego than managing my actual project. I tried to shield my team as much as possible, taking the heat in meetings and trying to translate her vague, nonsensical directives into something actionable. One afternoon, I was in my office going over our final launch plan when Clara called me in. The air in her office felt cold. She sat behind her huge desk, a smug look on her face. She told me she was restructuring the team for optimal efficiency. And then she dropped the bomb. My position was being eliminated, effective immediately. I was stunned. I asked why. I pointed to my years of service, my performance reviews, the fact that our project was on the verge of a successful launch. Her response: "We're moving in a new, more dynamic direction, and your leadership style is a bit too traditional." Traditional? I'd built this project from the ground up with cutting-edge methods. It was a pathetic excuse, and we both knew it. The real reason was simple. I challenged her. I didn't just nod and agree with her terrible ideas. I was a threat to her authority, an authority she didn't deserve. I was escorted out of the building like a criminal, my box of personal belongings in my arms. I felt a mix of anger, humiliation, and honestly, a little bit of fear. This job was my life. But as I sat in my car in the parking lot, that anger started to turn into something else. A quiet determination. I knew the project inside and out. I knew its weaknesses, its strengths, and most importantly, I knew the colossal mistakes Clara was about to make without me there to stop her. The first few weeks were tough. I updated my resume, started reaching out to my network, and tried to figure out my next move. Meanwhile, I kept in touch with some of my old team members. The reports I got were not good. Clara had taken full control. She had promoted one of the junior developers, someone who always agreed with her, to be her right-hand man. They started making sweeping changes to the software's core architecture, things I had explicitly warned against. They were chasing flashy, superficial features instead of focusing on the stability and security that our enterprise clients demanded. Then came the big news. The company announced a massive deal, a $5.3 billion partnership with an international conglomerate. This deal was entirely dependent on the successful and timely launch of our software. The pressure was on. The entire company's stock price was tied to this launch. And who was the face of it all? Clara, of course. She was in every press release, giving interviews about her visionary leadership and how she streamlined the project for success. It made my blood boil. I knew they were heading for a cliff. The changes she was making were introducing critical vulnerabilities. I even considered trying to warn someone, but who would listen? The fired guy with a grudge? I decided to just sit back and watch. A few days before the scheduled launch, I got a frantic call from one of my former senior engineers. He was panicking. He said the system was a mess. It was buggy, unstable, and crashing constantly. Clara's improvements had completely broken the back end. The team was working around the clock, but it was like trying to patch a sinking ship with duct tape. Clara's response to their concerns? She accused them of being negative and not being team players. Launch day arrived. The whole industry was watching. The partner conglomerate was ready to sign the final papers the moment the software went live. I was at home, watching the live stream of the launch event, a bowl of popcorn in my lap. Clara took the stage, beaming, delivering a speech full of corporate jargon about innovation and the future. Then the moment of truth. The software went live, and for about 5 glorious minutes, it seemed to work. Then the reports started flooding in. Social media lit up. Users were getting error messages. Data was being corrupted. The entire system was lagging to the point of being unusable. Within an hour, it was a full-blown catastrophe. The servers crashed. Not just a slowdown, a complete, total system failure. The fallout was immediate and brutal. The news spread like wildfire. The company's stock price didn't just dip, it nosedived. And that $5.3 billion deal? Poof. Gone. The conglomerate pulled out immediately, releasing a scathing public statement about the unacceptable failure of the product and a clear lack of technical oversight. The next day, the headlines were all about the disastrous launch. And in the fine print of those articles, it was announced that several key executives were being let go, including the new department head, Clara, fired, after just a few months. Her career, which had been artificially inflated by her connections, had imploded in the most public way imaginable. The company ended up having to scrap the entire project and start over, a process that would cost them hundreds of millions of dollars on top of the lost deal. They even tried to hire me back as a consultant to help fix the mess. I politely declined. I had already accepted a better position at a rival company, one that actually valued experience and competence. Sometimes, seeing karma work its magic is the best severance package you can ask for. Nepotism might get you in the door, but it can't save you when the entire house of cards comes crumbling down. My story is proof that in the end, real skill and hard work matter more than who you know. Thanks for listening, and if you enjoyed this story, make sure to hit that subscribe button for more.